Howdy everybody, my name is Trevor and I am currently hiking in the desert in Baja California down in Mexico. Now I've been here for a couple days now, and while I was here I learned about a lot of cool plants in the area that I find very fascinating. So today, as I hike through this hot desert with temperatures greater than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, I am going to introduce you to some of the cool plants that you can find down here in this desert and how to identify them. So stay tuned and be ready to see some plants. I really love these plants in this desert. They're just so fascinating and just wild and huge. This crazy looking cactus behind me is actually a species of Pitaya, and to me it just looks like a bundle of green cracking like tentacles, kind of like that's all I could say. It's easily distinguishable and it's a pretty good size, as you can see here in this nice big clump. Something I don't want to fall into, but wow, I really love this plant. This cactus behind me is another type of Pitaya cactus, but this one in particular is called Pitaya Dulce. It's also known as the organ pipe cactus. So if you look at it, it kind of does look like some organ pipes sticking out of the ground. This cactus behind me, it kind of looks like an organ pipes cactus, doesn't it? But it's not. This one is called an old man's cactus. How can you tell? Well, if you look right here, it has like this grayish fuzz on the top, kind of like gray hair on an old man. And if you listen carefully, it's like it speaks to you. Hey, don't touch me or I'll poke you. No touchy. This cactus right here kind of reminds me of the organ pipe cactus. This one is actually called Candelabra Cactus. Remember to stay hydrated in the desert. Well, this tree right here is called a mesquite. And this tree, the bark, if you make tea out of the bark, well, it will help you bring down a fever. Not only that, this tree is good for firewood, and it's also good if you have high cholesterol. So remember, make bark tea and you feel a lot better. Also, if you want a key tip for identifying this tree, then check out here on the branches. You notice that the twigs go from green to brown. That is one way you could distinguish a mesquite tree. You know, I can't remember if I put on sunscreen or not. I hope I did. That's going to be a quite painful burn. Anyways, this cactus behind me is called a Cholla cactus. Now the fruit of this cactus is actually very healthy for you and rich in nutrients and minerals. And if you eat the fruit of this cactus, it will help you increase your survival in the desert. Not only that, the roots of this plant, if you make tea out of its roots, it's good for your kidney. It's also good for your liver. And it's also good for uric acid. So this is a very healthy plant and something to keep in mind when you're out here in the desert trying to survive. Oh, and one more thing. These things do love to snatch onto you, and there are a bunch of them here. So as you walk by, beware, because if you brush against this cactus, a piece of it's going to break off and stick to you. And then you're going to have to find a way to peel it off without getting it all sticky in your hand and leg. It could be quite painful, especially if you're someone like me walking around in khaki shorts. This cactus right here with petal-like leaves is called a prickly pear. It also has really tasty fruit as well. And this plant is related to the chollas. This plant right here doesn't have any spines on it. But don't let that fool you. This plant, no touchy. This plant is actually poisonous. If you happen to ingest this plant, it can lead to stomach aches and even potentially death. So when you see this plant, don't mess with it. Now what is it called, you may ask? What is called a Candelilla. And it's also known as a slipper plant. So, slipper plant, do not mess with it. Very poisonous. Whew. Is it just me, or is it hot? Well, if you're ever hiking in the desert and you have no water and you're like in a survival situation and need to find a way to quench your thirst so that way you don't dehydrate, Well, this next plant right here is another way that can help you out. This slow growing cactus is called a barrel cactus. Now these guys hold a bunch of water. So if you ever need water, you just find one of these guys and cut them open, and then you have some liquid to quench that thirst and help you survive a little bit longer when you are trying to survive in the desert. Also, these guys do have some beautiful flowers on them. Like I said, barrel cactus, a key to survival. This cactus here kind of reminds me of jellyfish tentacles sticking up out of the ground, covered in spines. Well, this jellyfish tentacle-like plant is actually called an Ocotillo. And you can distinguish this plant based off all these spines lined up and down these stems right here. And also these plants create these nice, beautiful red flowers up on top. So remember, Ocotillo. Another plant here in Baja California that I want to introduce you to is called the Boojum Tree. And this tall tree right here is what's known as the Boojum Tree. Now these plants are really cool. They grow like super tall. The exact height I can't exactly say right now, but these are incredible plants. And when they get really tall, they will like split off and create these weird shapes and designs, and they come in like different types of different morphs, and basically like bent and shifted due to the wind. And when they of course dry out, then the locals will like sometimes use these as a source of wood to like build structures with. Another cool, fascinating plant that's here in Baja California. Check out this giant behind me. Like, wow, holy cow, that thing is really big. I've been in deserts before, and I've seen cactus, a lot of cacti, but anything that big? Heck no. That thing's just fascinating. What is this thing behind me? Well, this large cactus right here is called a Cardon. And it's easily distinguished here in Baja California by its large size, and has like this woody trunk down at the base, and then these green tall stacks up top. And it's a really cool, fascinating plant that I just love to see up here, and just standing next to this thing and being dwarfed by its large size, especially out here in the desert, it's just incredible. And it's probably one of my favorite plants out here in the deserts of Baja California. Like, wow. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my video about some of the plants here in Baja California down in the desert. Now you may be thinking, wow, he's pretty smart, learning all these plants in a couple days and then capable of memorizing all the facts about them and how to identify them. Well, there's actually a catch. You see, I'm actually carrying around my journal, and in this journal has notes about some of these plants. So as a naturalist, it's really hard, nearly impossible to remember everything there is about this planet, because Earth is such a big planet. So it's always good to carry a journal with you, so that way you could take down notes and record things that you find, and it keeps you're able to read your journals and refresh your knowledge. So with that, I hope you guys go out and learn about some of the plants in your local community. What are poisonous, what are edible, and what looks really cool and big or beautiful. And then whatever you learn about these plants, don't forget to write them down in a journal, because someday you may come across that plant and forget what it is. No need to fear. You have your journal, and in your little journal is that little note that tells you that your plant is an Ocotillo.